What's up, everybody? Welcome to the POVincent podcast here on the River's Edge Network. I'm your host, Vincent Didiano, giving you my point of view on movies. And with me, of course, is my buddy, my pal, my comedic comrade, the human megahorn, Eric Williams. Eric, tell the people how you doing.
I'm not dead, Vince. I'm not dead, which is good,
You said that last week, too. Is there somebody coming? Or you have assassins, hitman? Is it John Wick? Because if it's John Wick, we should go have a drink before he kills you. I mean,
valid. Like,
yeah.
Also, like, he should just. Why is he not filling the hole in the economy that Jack Kevorkian left? Seems like a prosperous. Like, he's pissed people off. Hitmen are trying to kill him. Why doesn't he just, start a lucrative, putting people out of their misery, job, and then he can pay off the hitmen to not kill him? Like, it seems like it would be good. No, I just have survived a decade without health insurance, and I feel like there's a limit.
Well, let's hope you don't hit that limit before the show is over.
I guess we'll find out. Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah.
It could get exciting.
Not because I'm picturing John Wick's clinic. He's like, there's a waiting room, there's a secretary, right? All that kind of normal stuff, and he just comes out, the secretary's like, okay, Mr. Wick, we'll see you now. He comes back into the doctor's room, but everything is just, there's almost nothing in there. There's just there's a table to lie down on, and next to the table is a little table, and it's just got a box of pencils. That's it. That's all there is.
I was actually just imagining a dark room, a small puppy dog, and a piece of paper that has written on it, "Punch the dog, see what happens."
Okay. Let's not get the dogs involved. Let's leave the dogs out of that.
It's John Wick. That's everyone's fatal mistake. Just leave the dog. That's why the tall black guy's probably going to survive the entire series. Hey, he took care of the dog, man. He took care of the dog. I think that's where the loyalty needs to get you through that series.
Oh, man. Oh, God damn it. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to do a quick overview of what we got lined up for tonight. A new trailer for a new Stephen King movie, Dr. Sleep, came out today. We're going to go over that. Next, we're going to talk about an article that apparently claims to have a source as to who the next big bad villain is going into the MCU moving forward. And then we're going to have an announcement of a famous band from the 90s, early 2000s that I'm sure a lot of people of our generation remember. They're getting their own cartoon movie, or animated movie, I should say. I apologize. And then finally, we're going to give our movie review for Men in Black International, starring Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. Now, up on the screen here, we're going to put some stuff up. But Eric, I want you to hold up on the first image. Get it ready, but hold up on the first image until I say the magic word, because otherwise, we might spoil something. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into this. All right. So, Dr. Sleep is a new movie based on Stephen King's work, starring Ewan McGregor. So the trailer starts out...
What was that name?
Ewan McGregor?
Okay, it sounded like you said Ewan McGregor. I was like, that's a...
Ewan McGregor! It's his less popular cousin. But did you know, actually, I found out the other day, little sidestep, I found out that Ewan McGregor's brother is actually a member of the Royal Air Force. And his call sign, like how jet fighter, Maverick from Top Gun, he's Maverick. His call sign, OB2. That is awesome. That is awesome. I don't give a shit who you are. Okay, that's awesome.
That's amazing. No, I give a shit who you are.
Yeah.
Because it's Obi-Wan's fucking brother.
Right.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
I know that Ewan McGregor loves to ride motorcycles, even if it may be in the violation of some of his movie contracts, and that he still owes me $10 for watching The Ghost Rider.
Oh.
That movie was garbage.
I did not see it, so I will take your word on it, buddy.
I like him and Pierce Brosnan, but if the two of them fought to the death because one of them had to die for that film, I would understand.
All right, but anyway, back to the trailer, because we had our little sidestep, praising Ewan McGregor. Everyone loves Ewan McGregor, But anyway, so the trailer starts out. He's has a bedroom up in an attic. I don't know, some house supposedly, and on the one wall farthest from the bed is the word hello written in chalk with a little smiley face in the O, right? And the trailer goes on. He seems like he's having trouble sleeping or whatever. And then he keeps on writing other stuff on the wall. So apparently he's the one writing stuff. He writes morning, he writes school, he writes stuff on there. And then one night he's sleeping, and the wall bursts forward. It doesn't explode. There's like a hole in it, but it bursts forward, and it shocks him out of his bed. He falls on the ground. He gets up. And here we go, right? Get ready. Here you go. And what's on the wall? Red rum. Yes. This movie, and I'm not Stephen, I don't follow Stephen King, so I don't know his work, so this is all new to me. In case it was new to you, that's why I want to save it. Ewan McGregor's character is the kid from The Shining all grown up. Apparently he's still seeing some shit, and he's still trying to figure out his shining power.
That's awesome.
Yes. And the trailer goes on, and we meet this little girl, a young girl. I want to say.
Wait, time out real quick. Is this based on a Stephen King novel, or did he just go ahead and write a screenplay?
No, I'm pretty sure I've heard of Dr. Sleep because I've worked in libraries before, so I'm just going
to... I've worked in libraries.
I know
a thing or two about literature.
I walk past books often.
Please say that on a date sometime. I walk past books often.
I've worked in a library.
Sometimes I even read the titles.
I know where the fiction section is. Dr. Sleep. No, I'm gonna look at it. I'm Googling it right now. I should have done this before, but I was like, Yeah, no, it's a novel. It's a novel. Dr. Sleep. Yeah, it exists.
Okay. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so
this also makes a logical sense because I think we've talked about this briefly, but I don't think you remember. You haven't watched the Hulu show Castle Rock.
I have not. No.
Okay, so Stephen King at this point has created a whole universe. He's got like 700,456 million novels, roughly.
Yeah. And combined, their pages are thick enough to reach the moon if you were to stack them all on top of each other.
Did you just make that up, or is that an actual fact? Because I would actually believe that. I would. That's how much that man has written.
I should have went lower. I should have been like the Hubble. I can reach the Hubble. I should have went lower.
Well, so much as the Gunslinger, which is the first
Dark Tower.
First book in the Dark Tower series, which you poor soul went and watched.
I did.
Idris Elba is very handsome. So is Matthew McConaughey. At least they were very attractive men for heterosexual men to watch in theaters.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. I love Idris Elba. He's great. He just has such his on-screen charisma. He just when he's on screen, you're paying the fuck attention. And Matthew McConaughey, despite, as we brought it up a few weeks ago, despite the movie Serenity, I'll let that go. I will let that go. I'll let it go. Anyway.
So with the Dark Tower, he's got essentially it's a series that connects everything.
Right.
But then with Castle Rock, the Hulu series, it also combines a whole bunch of I know you're not a big fan, but if you may know, Castle Rock is not only the production company that does a lot of Stephen King films, but is also the setting for 50. If you read a Stephen King novel, it's oh hey, hello Maine, shitty things are about to happen.
Of course it's in Maine.
Yeah.
Of course, I know that much about what's the... I'm afraid to go to Maine now. I don't know what the fuck is that? It's I feel... What's going on? What happened? Did Maine, did the Bermuda Triangle shift and now it's in Maine? What the fuck?
They're kind of a crazy place, man. They're kind of a crazy place. They're we're not quite Canada! But so now they've got this movie that is not. It took something that people thought about. I feel like Stephen King doesn't do sequels very often, and this is an expanding of the universe, but not in a thing that's already expanding the universe. So there's a nice novelty to this.
Yes. So I'm kind of excited. The idea of the kid all grown up. I remember one time back in the 90s, I don't think this was based on a novel, but I think they did a TV direct sequel to Firestarter. Is that the right term?
Firestarter, did they do... Well, I know they did the made-for-TV Shining.
Shining, and then they did Drew Barrymore did Firestarter movie. I think that was a TV movie, too.
Wait, she did a second one?
No, it wasn't Drew Barrymore. It was somebody else. It was I think it was on TNT or TBS one night. It was like it was another direct-to-TV movie, but I don't think it was based on a novel. I don't think he did a Firestarter sequel. It was just
Okay.
like people know this property. It's like supposed to be her when she's grown up or
Gotcha.
something. But anyway, so the trailer goes on. He meets this little girl, and throughout the trailer they show clips from the original Shining. You know, show Danny as a his little boy, and actual clips from the Shining. They're definite like. But he meets this little girl, and apparently she has the same abilities too. She can shine. And also throughout the trailer we see there seems to be a group of people that I'm slightly confused, but they're definitely scary motherfuckers. They're definitely people that are like, let's not be friends. You stay over there. And they seem to be after people who also can shine. That's the indication that the trailer is giving me.
Okay, well, they may open up kind of the most interesting part of The Shining. So Vince, you're not super into horror.
I'm not. I don't hate it. That's not my thing.
Not. He was like, like I never got into tacos. I just like spaghetti too much. Like, that's how horror is for me. But you're somewhat familiar with The Simpsons, right?
The cartoon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So they do every year they do the Halloween Treehouse of Horror.
Yes.
And the one years back they did a great one where in all 3 mini episodes, Willie the janitor gets killed. But the best one is like a Shining parody where like Homer's losing his mind, and then like the movie, Willie's character, who is like the Shining janitor, gets the axe to the back, and he's like, I probably should have seen that coming because I'm psychic. It's already happened 2 times this episode. But like the black. Okay, The Shining uses one of the best semi-racist tropes of all time, which is the the black knowledgeable character is like, oh, look at me, I'm black and full of wisdom, and I'll only be here occasionally to tell white people things that help them.
Yes, I'm familiar with that character. I believe Will Smith has been that character. Something about a golf movie with Matt Damon. Bagger Vance? Was it Bagger Vance?
I don't know. I hear he is legend. I don't know. But no, so the black janitor pops up and he's like, hey kid, you have The Shining, I have The Shining too. Oh, I got an axe to the back, I can't tell you any more about this. But no, they said there's this older guy who has the and seems to know things that he's never able to convey, and then the movie moves in a way where there's no point in following that. But now they've set up an opportunity where it could be like, hey, maybe that janitor that got an axe to the back knew people and they knew things, and people were trying to kill him, which is why he was hanging out at this weird place in the middle of nowhere with one crazy guy who drank too much and chewed on his aspirin.
Okay.
I read a third of the book years ago.
Yeah. Good for you, buddy. But anyway.
Don't forget things.
Okay, all right, fuck. All right, I'm an elephant. I'm not going to forget. All right, Jesus. Anyway, so this trailer is definitely going to get a lot of Stephen King fans excited. I mean, if you already read the book and you know that, but if you're just more of a movie person and you saw The Shining, it should be interesting. Now, the only thing I'm concerned about is the original Shining. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't that directed by Stanley Kubrick?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know who's directing this new one, but they got some big shoes to fill because Stanley Kubrick is pretty much a legend, and he had a very specific style to his movies. So, I mean, best of luck. I'm still kind of excited at the concept of, the kid grown up and he's shining, and now there's other shiners, and they're shiner hunters. I don't know. I just know there's a bunch of weird people who seem to be after people who can shine. And one thing, there seems to be like an exchange of breath, but maybe it's an exchange of shining power or something like that. I don't know. I'm eager to find out. In fact, at one point in the trailer, it looks like Ewan McGregor, Danny, grown up Danny, goes back to the hotel where The Shining took.
Horrible decision. Horrible decision.
We got to go back to where it started. That's what it's going to be like. I have to go back to where it all started. That line's going to come on the fucking film. I can see it already. I got to go back to where it all started. It's right up there with the real question is, who are you? I fucking hate that shit. I brought that up. I didn't like it. Remember, they said that in Dark Phoenix. I fucking hated that. And they're going to have that line in this movie. It's like these little tropey lines that they're like, how are we going to, what are we going to have them say? What do you think we're going to have them say? I got to go back to where it began? I got to go back to where it began. Unless I went down the writer's room. That's how it happened. He's going to do that. Just
maybe he's just like, hey, does anyone want to go snowboarding?
Oh God, I hope he trips over Jack Nicholson's corpse. He's running and just like, and that's like Jack Nicholson.
Watch what I can do, Dad.
Yeah.
Just
for
did an
some-
ollie on your face.
Except for some reason that the corpse has sunglasses on. And he's like, where did this come from? Anyway. Oh man, but anyway, good for you, McGregor. Lord knows we're not going to give him that Obi-Wan movie that people kind of wanted before when Star Wars people were still excited for it.
So whoever the director is, they have shoes to fill, but they also probably won't scare an actor out of acting ever again. So
No.
that's the plus side.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, it's time to move on. Time to move on to from horror nerdy to comic book nerdy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we had Endgame not too long ago. Awesome movie, and me and Eric loved it both. Got a true thrill out of it. But it ends this part of the MCU. We are now ended what is known as the Infinity Saga. Well, technically, the last part of the Infinity Saga will be Spider-Man Far From Home, which I get why they don't end it on the Avengers movies, but I don't get it anyway. It's just dumb. Because I've been told the reason why they do this to set up, the reason why, because Ant-Man was the end of Phase 2, and they say, oh, we do it like that to set up information for the next phase. I'm just like, but no, you end on a bang, goddammit. But anyway, that's just me whining and nitpicking and whatnot. Even though I'm right. Anyway.
Look. Just be happy that Ang Lee's Hulk has nothing to do with the MCU, okay?
That's true. And good for Ang Lee for making better movies afterwards. Because, God damn it, that was holy shit. Anyway, but okay, going to an article on WeGotThisCovered.com. We Got This Covered has been informed by a source that the next big storyline for the MCU will be none other than Annihilation, while Annihilus will obviously be the big bad. So, now if this is true, now a lot of people have been asking what's going to happen. Who's going to be the next big bad? Because, especially now with the Disney Fox takeover, they have access to the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, so you can get Doctor Doom, you can get the Tal Shiar. Yeah, you can get the Tal Shiar Empire from X-Men. We got a lot open there. But according to this source on We Got It Covered, it's going to be Annihilus. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, Annihilus is traditionally a Fantastic Four villain. One of the things in the Fantastic Four comics that they play with is a place called the Negative Zone, which is another dimension, which, thanks to Doctor Strange, they have already set up other dimensions, and apparently in Spider-Man Far From Home, they're going to set up the multiverse, supposedly, assuming Mysterio isn't bullshitting everybody.
Which it could be.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if it now, not like I said, so the Fantastic Four, they discovered this other dimension. Well, Mr. Fantastic did, called the Negative Zone, and as they do, the Fantastic Four, they go exploring. Which, by the way, real quick, MCU, when you make a new Fantastic Four movie, have them do some exploration because that's what they're about. They're a group of partial scientists, partial explorers that just bump into bad guys. That's how it should be done. It should be done like an episode of Doctor Who.
They're Star Trek if they were a family with powers.
Yes. So the Negative Zone is this place where it's I think partially antimatter, if I remember correctly, and the big villain of there is this powerful creature called Annihilus, and he's the ruler of the Negative Zone. And in the in the big comic story Annihilation, Annihilus forms an armada in the Negative Zone, and opens up a breach to come into the main universe and take over. And he's a powerful villain in his own right. In the comic book, a bunch of heroes went at him. Silver Surfer went at him to stop him. Drax and Star-Lord of the Guardians, as we know them now, part of the Guardians, they went after him. And according to what I've read up, it took Galactus to bring an end to this thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So now, once again, this is according to a source from this website. This could be all bullshit. It could all be a lie, just rumor or hearsay, or maybe there is an idea with the MCU and they're kind of like playing with it because now that they've got the Disney stuff, they've got to be reconsidering certain things because now they have access to the X-Men, they got access to Fantastic Four. So I'm guessing in the past year and a half since this whole Disney Fox thing deal happened, they've been rethinking a lot of things, and they've had to rethink a lot more. This is way bigger than when they got Spider-Man from Sony, because as big as Spider-Man, as iconic as a superhero that Spider-Man is, that's just one character that you now have to figure to fit into this woven tapestry of the overall storyline of the MCU. But now you got the Fantastic Four, That's just 4 new characters plus all the villains and side characters that come with them. You got the X-Men. I mean, how many freaking characters in the MCU have been X-Men? How many mutants over the years? I mean, I'm sure there's a tally somewhere, but I would assume it's somewhere. It's got to be well over 200 at this point.
That's a huge chunk, and we're not even getting into villains yet.
Yeah.
Like, plus, didn't they also pick up Ghost Rider?
Well, no, they picked up Ghost Rider a while ago because Ghost Rider was in a previous season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and Ghost Rider is actually getting his, I can't remember if we discussed this on the show before, but Ghost Rider is getting his own series on Hulu.
That's right.
I'm not sure whether or not it'll be connected to the MCU yet. I'm kind of curious because I guess they didn't want Ghost Rider on Disney Plus. I guess he's too dark of a character to have on that streaming service.
Yeah.
And as I believe you point out to me, the Hulu is co-owned by Disney or fully owned, something like that. Yeah. So
wait, which is weird. Are they gonna make Hulu more adult? I think that's the general idea.
Yeah, I think they'll save their more adult content for Hulu and the more family-friendly, the PG-13, but like light PG-13. For Disney Plus, because I mean Loki's getting his own series, and there's no way you can go light with Loki. I mean he'll have the fun, the wit, the charm, but he's still a villain. Especially since it seems like the series will be about the Loki during the first Avengers period. So instead of the Loki that died at the end, because that's how I'm assuming they're because Loki's still dead in the main MCU timeline, but now we got because of Endgame, we got the alternate timelines, the branch timelines and all that stuff. So I'm assuming we're going to be covering that Loki unless they reveal oh, no, we faked his death again, which I kind of hope they don't because I just think that was a good ending to his character. But now we're kind of reviving his character by bringing back a former version. Whatever, we'll see how that goes.
Okay, so first of all, you already know that in comic books, much like soap operas, death is a joke.
Yes.
Death is a joke.
All thanks to Superman.
But especially so with certain characters like Loki, like Deadpool, like Wolverine.
Yes.
They're never going to die.
Yeah, and it's not just a Marvel thing. It's Marvel, it's DC, like within. It's all because of Superman, because they killed him in the 90s, and they're like, nope, he wasn't dead. He was in a healing coma. And everybody was like, dicks? What the fuck? And everything that it happens in like The Flash died in the 80s, a Barry Allen Flash, and then they brought him back in the early 2000s. Like, he wasn't dead. He was trapped in the Speed Force. And
didn't they kill a bunch of characters in the 80s in the...
Crisis on Infinite... Yeah, oh yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Well, they killed entire universes, and the universe we got left with was a merger of 2 universes, if I remember the story correctly. So technically they killed a lot of characters, but some of them technically survived because we had their other version from another universe. And when the universes merged, that's just what we got. And then you had the DC, you had the New 52 because of Flashpoint, which was apparent. Which I heard it further. The New 52 version of the universe was another merging of multiple universes, but I don't know. They fucking retconned a lot of shit. If I remember, like from what I remember from what I looked at. We're getting off topic. The point is, no one fucking stays dead. Death has no meaning, which is really funny considering. Death is a character in the MCU. Thanos wants to bone her, has failed every time. Deadpool, on the other hand, got right in there.
No, someone was just telling me that Death or Lady Death is actually the reason that Deadpool is immortal.
Yes, what happened is that because, once again, in the comic books, Thanos does not want to snap half the universe because of a balancing thing. In the comic books, his actual motivation is he's had a huge crush on Death for years and years and years, and he figures he can impress her by killing half the universe. That's what he's. So it's literally him. It's him giving snap roses to Death in the comic. He's trying to impress her. Now, what happened in the comics? Deadpool met Death, and yada yada yada. They fucked. And that pissed off Thanos, and Thanos, I can't remember how, but he cursed Deadpool that Deadpool can never die, so he can never be with Death again. Because in order for him to get back with Death, he has to die first. And and so he already has his regeneration, but now even you could like boil him down to nothing with acid, and he would apparently grow back or something. But
it's magic. He can't die.
Yeah, he can't die.
He only gets to see her when he's regenerating, I think.
I guess when he's close to death.
When he's close to death, he's finally close to death.
When he's close to death, he can see Lady D and show her his dead D.
I just want to say Lady D sounds like a crossdresser. It does. It just.
Kind of does.
I like how you.
Why they call you Lady D? Oh, honey, let me show you.
I like how you ripped on DC killing Superman, which was a mistake, but not nearly as big of a good mistake as when they changed his whole powers.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Oh, you remember white and blue lightning Superman?
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody liked that. DC just didn't know what to do. DC, I hear Superman in recent years, his comics have been a little bit more favorable, especially since they brought in his son, Jonathan Kent, who's the new Superboy. Apparently, him being a father has been really good for the character. Plus, apparently,
that makes sense because he's always kind of been like Earth's father.
Yeah.
Or more like Earth's uncle who like doesn't get drunk and hit it.
No, he's a sober man.
He's a good uncle. He's a good uncle.
He's a great uncle. Yeah.
He's the guy that shows up with the dog and says like, "Hey, I saved your girlfriend from a car crash."
Oh shit. But yeah, no. Yeah, because what they did in the comic, because they ended the New 52, because the New 52 started. It was, from my understanding, it went strong for a while. Then it's just like kind of going, it just wasn't living up. So they decided to end the New 52, and now we're in the comics what called Rebirth. At the end of the New 52 Superman dies, but right before he dies, the previous Superman shows up in his black suit and they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Superman from the old universe." And they're like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, well, he's dying. You should probably pay attention to him first." And so, I'm paraphrasing.
That might be the best paraphrase I have ever heard.
Yeah.
I've heard some fucking good paraphrases.
So basically, New 52 Superman dies, and the old Superman has to take over because apparently he's been living in the New 52 Earth for a decade or something now, and he just hasn't revealed himself because him and Lois wanted to raise their son. That's the reason why he was staying hidden. In fact, he shows up with a beard. The glasses just weren't cutting it anymore, so he grew a beard.
He's like, look, I've been paying attention to what's going on in pop culture, and now I really like craft beer.
Yeah. And then he took over, which must have been really awkward for the Justice League. Their friend just died, and New 52 Superman was in a serious relationship with Wonder Woman, so she's like, "You're not my Superman." I feel like that kind of shit was going down. So basically, I had to prove himself. And then later, I don't know why I'm going so deep in this. I just kind of.
I am digging it.
Later in the comic books, Mr. Mickelplix,
Wait, what?
I used to be able to say his
Mr.
name.
Mick Foley?
Mr. Mick Foley brings out Sacco and warps the universe.
I would watch that DCEU film.
We would.
I don't care who was casting it. I would watch it, and I guarantee you it would be better than Batman vs. Superman.
Yes. Mr. McMixelplix, I'm probably still screwing it up.
Mr. McMixelplix?
Yeah, shows up and comes at Superman because Superman he hasn't been around for years, and he's like, "You've been ignoring me." So he grabs Superman, Lois, and Jonathan, pulls them into some other dimension. And in this dimension, the ghosts of New 52 Superman and New 52 Lois show up, and it turns out that the older Superman and New 52 Superman are actually two halves of the true Superman, and they re-merge into one Superman, and then they beat and he beats Mr. McMixelplick. I used to be able to say that name!
Time out. Did Superman just plagiarize Charles Dickens? Because that sounds a lot like A Christmas Carol. Like,
how's that a Christmas Carol?
A ghost shows up, and then they're like, "Hey, future, we can beat your ass."
I guess. But it wasn't like that. I don't think it was. I think we're stretching a bit there. But yeah, so the current Superman in the comics is a combination of the previous Superman from previous, I guess, post-crisis pre-New 52 and the New 52, because DC has often, as I said earlier, merged and separated universes, and there's been a lot of screwing around. It's affected Superman, but now he's combined into one Superman. But that was like something that happened like a couple years ago now. So I just like talking about Superman.
So wait, there's only one Superman now?
Yeah, there's only one. Well, I mean, there's still the multiverse, the DC multiverse, so you can go and find other Superman. But in the current universe, there's just one Superman. So he's emerging of those two Supermans because of all the universal bullshit that's going on, he was split at some point or something like that, and now he's the true Superman. But he still has all the memories, so he's not like a brand new born person. He has all the memories.
All I know is DC needs to make a Bizarro series. That needs to happen. That needs to happen.
Oh,
Those
God.
are the best storylines, and they could do it on like Hulu or streaming service. It wouldn't have to connect because they're doing this. Hey, we've got an extended universe, but also we have these standalone films. It makes no fucking sense. I'm
Yeah.
angry. Let's move.
Yeah, DC's not doing good. They fucking canceled Swamp Thing after one episode because somebody didn't do the paperwork right.
What?
Yeah, they canceled Swamp Thing after one episode. The season's still going to finish, but it's already canceled because apparently somebody behind the scenes fucked something up with taxes or some bullshit, and it's already canceled. After one episode, you didn't hear about this?
No, I missed this. I've been working too many hours and spending time with my girlfriend like a good boyfriend.
Yeah, Swamp Thing is already like. I feel so bad for people who are just turning into the live stream. They're like, "Why is Marvel on the screen there?" But they're talking about DC. It's a long. If you're just joining us, it was a long road here. The point is. We're gonna do so well here on Twitch. I just know it's just.
The point is, Vincent.
The point is, the DC streaming service isn't doing well, and there's rumors going around that they're just going to cancel it, and they're just going to. The only show that's going to survive is Titans, and they're just going to move that to a different channel because Titans has already been renewed for a second season. But Swamp Thing, after one episode, is canceled because somebody at corporate or some office fucked something up. So the show could be fantastic, but it's dead now, unless Netflix saves it or Hulu or I don't whatever other channel likes to say.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a horrible thing. It could be a good show. I don't know.
I've heard great things about Doom Patrol. I haven't illegally watched it on the internet yet, but I will.
Disclaimer: we do not support piracy here on the POVincent Network or here at POVincent. Anyway, but yeah, so somehow we went. So anyway, to compile that whole story, Nihilus might be the next big MCU villain. DC Comics likes to destroy and create universes all the time, and Swamp Thing is now sad. Or he's wilting, I should say. He's
I just
wilting.
love that. I want to clarify. We have a character whose name is Swamp Thing.
Yes.
And we're like, oh, he's now sad.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't already sad. Like he wasn't like, why did they name me Swamp Thing? Why couldn't they just been like nice marshy guy?
Yeah. Which is a shame because here's the thing. I used to watch the Swamp Thing movies as a kid. I had Swamp Thing Returns. The second one was Heather Locklear on VHS. My parents bought it for me for Christmas.
How old were you?
Oh God, I was like pre-pubescent, so that was pretty young, and I'll never forget the scene where it's like, I probably shouldn't be watching this. There's a scene. There's a scene in Swamp Thing Returns where it's Heather Locklear that her and Swamp Thing basically fall in love at this point, but they kind of want to get intimate, physically intimate. But he's Swamp Thing, all right. You know, he just can't give her the old branch. You know what I'm saying? He can't do that. So I'm not fucking kidding. This is what happens. This is what fucking happens. This is what happens. Have you ever seen Swamp Thing Returns?
I don't think. If so, I can't remember.
Okay, so this is how they have sex, basically. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I'm sure that people.
Do I need to put on the spoiler alert?
No. Spoiler alert for a movie that came out 30 years ago. No, he pulls a small cucumber off his body, takes a bite of it, hands it to her. She takes a bite of it, and then they have some kind of dream sex where he's human again. All I know is she bit a fucking cucumber off his body. She put her mouth on his cucumber.
Did they take a psychedelic cucumber?
I think that's what happens. Like either it's either a psychic connection via cucumber. At least I remember it being like a cucumber-like thing. He pulls it off his body. He takes a bite. So he takes a bite of his cucumber, which takes some guys, a lot of yoga lessons to accomplish. But goddamn Swamp Thing.
Look, most guys can't just grow their own cucumber at will, okay?
Yeah. No, they can't.
That takes a lot of time, practice, and fertilizer.
Yeah, indeed. But anyway, so yeah, that's... I don't remember much about Swamp Thing Returns. I just remember that happening. I remember the Swamp Thing because I saw Swamp Thing Returns first, and later I saw the first one. And holy shit, did they get a bit better budget for the second one? Because Swamp Thing looks like ass in the first one. It is a horrible-looking suit that they have in the second one. Actually, he looks like he's made of plants. Another one is just like he just looks like he's in a rubber suit. and they stapled some vines to him, a couple of vines. But yeah, now I want to watch Swamp Thing Returns. I'm gonna go to my parents' house. I'm gonna find that old VHS, and then I'm gonna go to a thrift store and find a working VCR, and I'm gonna watch it.
I kind of miss the late 80s, early 90s superhero films where superheroes were just deformed people crying and yelling a lot.
Yes.
R.I.P. Darkman.
R.I.P. Darkman. Anyway, we got to move on. So,
Hey, Vince.
So we got to move on to our next story, which is going to
Vince,
a real quickie.
Do you want to be my lover?
Eric, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends.
Make it last forever, because friendship is something that the Spice Girls exploited for money in a film.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Very successfully, I might add.
Yes, very successfully. So, for those of you who don't remember, the Spice Girls were a huge British pop band in the late 90s, early 2000s that were really big and promoted friendship until Ginger Spice, there was Ginger Spice, Baby Spice, Sports Spice, Cumin Spice.
Okay, I never caught this as a kid, but like, was this influenced or referencing at all the Traveling Wilburys? Are you not familiar with the Traveling Wilburys?
I am not familiar with them, but we got to get to our movie review soon.
The Traveling Wilburys was a super band. It was an amalgamation of Roy Orbison, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, and someone else huge who I shouldn't be blanking right now, but I am.
Who did you say so far? You said what? Waylon Jennings?
No, I think Jennings is the last. I said Orbison.
Orbison.
So I think
It's
Jennings.
Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
And I only know that because of their fucking Dukes of Hazzard. So.
But like, no. So what happened was they were like, hanging out at some point, and they're all like relatively big. And they're like, hey, it'd be great if we could play together. Yeah, man, we should play together. But they had contract stuff with their various production companies that was like, you can't do that, you are prohibited. So they were like, okay, Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, Waylon Jennings, and Roy Orbison can't be in a band, but the Wilbury brothers can't. So yeah, it's like Tom, Roy, George Harrison. George Harrison is involved.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
No, like, this is a huge band. But so I wonder if like the whole Spice thing was like, oh, wink wink, nudge nudge, Wilburys will never be as big as them.
It could be. I don't know. I don't know these things. Unless it's Doctor Who connected, I don't know about the British and their ways.
Look, the Traveling Wilburys was the Infinity Avengers film in band form.
Okay, all right.
So what's going on with the Spice Girls animated film, Vincent?
Not much. The characters will be voiced by all the original members. It'll have a lot of their original songs, and honestly, there's not much more to talk about. It's Paramount's involved in this one, and we have the writers are Karen McCullough and Kiwi Smith, who have written on such movies as House Money and Legally Blonde. Beyond that, there's not really a whole lot to talk about here. It's due for a 2020 release, so this is all very early stuff. So if you're an old Spice fan, if you're missing the old spicy days, you want to, I don't know, throw on the spice rack? I don't fucking know. I don't remember much about this. I just remember they were huge, big, and I think as a kid I liked Ginger Spice the most because she had the biggest boobs. I think that's how.
I like how your picture's still all of them like from the 90s.
Well, here's the thing. I googled Spice Girls, right? And I know they've had some reunion tours in recent years, but no one cares enough. I guess I shouldn't say that. I'm being an ass about that one. It's just that when you think Spice Girls, do you think that the way they are now, or do you think back in the day? You think back in the day.
People always like to think about like the prime, the high point, but I do think it's interesting. It's a smart move that they went with the animated and not a live action, because
they already did that.
Well, they did already do a live action film, but more they did that. I mean, we're talking about a band that was at the height of their popularity 20 years ago.
Yeah, brought together by Simon Fuller.
And instead of doing live action, they're doing animated. Vincent, do you find Bette Midler attractive?
No. I don't find her to be ugly, but I do not find her, she's not my type.
Do you know the most attractive she has ever been, in my humble opinion?
Are you about to say Hocus Pocus?
No, I'm about to say when she was a guest star on The Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
They drew her amazingly flatteringly in the 90s when she was not a young lady. My point is, the Spice Girls are going to look amazing in this. They're going to look fantastic.
Are they now?
Yes, they're going to look better than any plastic surgery money could buy.
All right. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the Spice Girls movie will be coming out in 2020. For those of you who are nostalgic for the old days, I mean, I'm susceptible to nostalgia as the next person, but the Spice Girls really weren't my thing back in the day. They were famous. I heard their songs all the time. I didn't hate their songs or anything. They just weren't my thing.
Here's the real question about how famous or big they were. I started things off this segment with referencing a Spice Girls song. Can you reference a different song to close it?
Fuck you, Ginger, for leaving the band.
That was so much better than just saying no.
No. I always try to add that extra little touch of Vincent.
You should copyright that phrase, largely so no one else ever uses it against you in a court of law.
Okay, thank you. And then he gave me an extra little touch of Vincent.
Now show us where he did it using the Vincent doll.
Oh my god. Wait, why would it be on my doll?
I don't know, for irony's sake. Also, for record, the Vincent doll is just a Stretch Armstrong rubbed in garlic oil.
Okay. You racist fuck. No. Okay. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move on to our movie review of the night, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Men in Black International. So this movie stars Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, everyone's favorite Asgardians from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Chris Hemsworth plays a veteran agent whose career is kind of on a downward spiral, and Tessa Thompson is a new rookie that just entered the MIB, and they kind of have to work together to help each other out and solve a new dilemma that's threatening the fate of mankind. So, now this is the first Men in Black movie without Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith. That may turn off some people. But thankfully, I think Chris Hemsworth has proven himself to be, a leading man and funny at the same time, too, because the Men in Black movies all have a bunch of humor in them. And so Tessa Thompson, most people either know her for Valkyrie in the MCU or for the Creed films, I would say, or for that movie she did, what's it called? Dear White People. I think that was her first break, her first big leading role she did. I could be wrong about that, but that's just the first one I remember her for. So Tessa Thompson, we'll start with Tessa Thompson's character. She is Agent M. Her character is that she saw aliens and Men in Black when she was a kid, but she didn't get neuralized, and she has been searching for the MIB her entire life. And she actually finally tracks them down and gets to their headquarters. And they basically like, you found us. Nobody finds us. All right, we're going to give you a shot. So she gets a shot, and she's sent to London on her first assignment. That's where she meets Chris Hemsworth's character, who's a veteran agent who was trained by Agent T, played by Liam Neeson. And apparently they saved the world one time, so he's kind of the big guy and big MIB agent in London. But you start to see throughout the movie that he's kind of hard to believe because he's a bit of a goof and he's got a lot of bravado, but he's got really not the skills to back it up. At least it seems like it.
Reminds me of my boss.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go over things. So
I'm upset by this premise.
You're upset by the premise? Why are you upset by it?
I am, because they're like, no one finds us. Like, literally, our entire group is based on this electronic device that wipes people's brains, but no one has ever found us. No pizza delivery guys ever accidentally walked in and we've been like, oh, it happened again. Frank, pull out the neuralizer. Like, I feel like people just stumble on all the time. I feel like there should just be someone at the Men in Black door with the neuralizer. Just like, oh, hey, peace.
Oh, yeah. So, Men in Black. I'm trying to figure out where exactly to start here with.
Is there going to be a dragonfly? And is Vince D'Onofrio involved at all?
No, unfortunately not.
Disappointment
that
on
would-
both ends.
He shows up. He's the Kingpin. That would have been crazy awesome.
The Kingpin is actually a giant intergalactic cockroach.
No. So yeah. So this play now. So let's go over a few things. Now, Men in Black, the movie. The first one was Tommy Lee Jones, Will Smith. I love that movie. Seen it a bunch of times. Takes place in New York, and the idea of this one is international. So we're seeing all kinds of different vistas, cities and all that stuff. They start in London. Well, the movie starts in New York. Then we're in London. Then we do some world traveling. At one point, we're in Paris, and I have a problem with that. You see, part of the reason that made Men in Black work in its goofy, eccentric way is that, and we've heard about this even before Men in Black. The thing about New York City is goofy shit happens there all the time, and people just tend to ignore it. It's New York. It happens, right? And that works for Men in Black. You can be like, okay, that works with the premise that there are alien refugees or alien immigrants living in New York, and they are in technically disguises, but even when one of them goofs up or something happens, people just ignore it because it's New York. Stuff happens there all the time. The problem with giving it an international setting is that it doesn't really work in other places.
I'm going to have to disagree with you 100%.
Okay, person who didn't see the movie.
If it's set now, I don't know entirely where they went, but the general premise, like you named Paris, you named London. These are giant urban metropolises where crazy shit happens all the time. They don't have quite the population density of New York City, but like these are giant metropolises where crazy shit is happening all the time. It's not like the back end of Montana or like some little pastoral place in Nice, France.
Okay, true. But I'll give you that. But they sure didn't really display that in the movie.
I gotcha.
They didn't.
Gotcha.
I mean, because it's not just big cities like that. There's like other places, like one point in the movie, they're in Marrakesh.
Okay.
So yeah.
But you said London and Paris the first time.
Yes, I did. Well, they do go there. It's international. They went to a lot of places. So I really don't think the settings work because it just doesn't have that same, like the vibe New York just kind of worked for that. And they didn't really recreate that vibe in the other cities. They show like hidden places and stuff like that, but they're hidden. They're not out in the open. But at the same time, when shit goes down and when there's action in the movie, there's a lot of shit and action that's happening out in the open. Now, as established in the previous MIB movies, yes, the agents have the neuralizer and they have cleanup crews that come in and do more thorough neuralizing cleanup. But so much shit happens out in the open that I'm kind of surprised that more people don't know and there aren't more. Like they established in the second movie, there are some people who are kind of aware. There's conspiracy theorists, conspiracists about the MIB. But considering some of the shit happens in this movie, I'm surprised that there's not a whole fucking bunch of them. I'm surprised they're not rivaling the Flat Earthers, to be honest. That's right, I went there. I went there.
We're talking about you, Kyrie Irving. Talking about you.
But anyway, I guess I should get more into the characters. Like, once again, Chris Hemsworth, we all know he can pull off some comedy. So like I said, he's like an agent where he saved the world at one point, which is another thing. They make saving the world seem like a big deal in this movie, which you would think, he saved the world. That is a big deal. But in the first Men in Black movie, they kind of established this shit happens all the time. You know what I mean? There's that scene where like Will Smith shoots the noisy cricket in public, and Tommy Lee Jones is like, like we'd never display our weapons in public, and Will Smith's like, we ain't got time for this cover up bullshit. In case you don't remember, there's a fucking battle cruiser in space about to blow something, and it's like there's always a battle cruiser or a death ray or a virus that's gonna wipe out all life on this planet. And the only way people don't know about it is because people get along with their lives because we keep our mouths shut and we keep shit. It's like, but they make it like it was a huge deal in this movie, and I'm not really sure how big of a deal saving the planet is.
But I feel like what you're missing with what you established there was that whole first film, what it seems like they're trying to recreate some of that chemistry in this, but you have the rookie who's new, and you have the person who's been doing it their entire lives, who has saved the world a bunch of times. Like, I mean, we know in the beginning that Tommy Lee Jones, like, he's an agent who's done shit. Him and Kay have, like, been all over the fucking place. Like, And so, he's like, yeah, there's always, because he's done it a bunch. But again, the rookie, like, this shit is happening. I mean, because that's the world. There's always crazy
No,
shit
no,
happening.
I get that. I get why Tessa Thompson as the rookie would be impressed by that, but other agents in the film also make it out like it's a big deal. They also, yeah.
Some of them probably have the shitty gigs. Like the Men in Black is a large corporation.
Oh
Not
yeah, no, yeah,
everyone's.
yeah. Oh yeah, no. There's a lot of people got like desk and office jobs. Okay, let's move on. So here's my problem. I'm trying to avoid this, but the movie is really lacking in a lot of fun. Honestly,
Really?
yeah.
That's because I was expecting just a plot, just like all the films have some degree of like editing slash like consistency issues, but I mean the first one still has some, but it's really good. So I was just expecting there's no plot, but here's a bunch of fun. So I'm sad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the movie is seriously lacking in fun, and it's just like I mean, I honestly didn't start laughing until about halfway through the movie. Even then,
Ooh.
they were like little chuckles because I don't know. It's missing that vibe of the other films, where like in the other films you'll see Agent J or Agent K fighting an alien, and there's kind of have this casual attitude about it, where they're like still making little like sarcastic or witty little quips. There really isn't none of that. There's action scenes, but they're basically just straight up action scenes with some minor. There's like that one part you see in the trailer where Chris Hemsworth picks up a hammer and it's a Thor reference, and he throws it at the alien. The alien just catches it, and he's like, "Oh, that was an incredible catch, right?" But there's not enough of that in the fight scenes. There's got to be more goofiness and eccentricness, and I'm just not seeing that in this movie. And I'm not even really seeing it from our characters. I just like, once again, they say in the movie we indicate that Chris Hemsworth was a big deal, but now he's kind of like become a joke. Like he doesn't take the job seriously, and he's just more worried about having fun. But they never indicate why he's gone on a downgrade. They don't indicate what was the turning point for him. I'm not sure. I feel like there's something they were trying to make out to be that was the reason, but he's just, Tessa Thompson's thing is like she's very intelligent. She's very intelligent, smart. Like they show her when she's a little kid that like her flashback or background story. Which, by the way, there was a couple of scenes that were like, I don't know why they were out of order in my opinion, but anyway, where she falls asleep in her bed as a little girl reading The History of Time by Stephen Hawking. So that they're trying to show like she's really smart, like she understands molecules and fusion and suns. So they're really pushing how smart she is.
Time out. Did you mean reading A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking?
Yes, A Brief History.
Or did she find the unabridged version? It's A History of Time. Here you go.
That's how hardcore she is. So she's really smart, but that's kind of her thing. They kind of make it out. One thing is that she's not emotional or something. But I don't.
So they just defined her character by intelligence.
Yeah, they try to make it believe that she's very super logical and stuff. But I just like she shows that she's excited when she finds MIB, and then I'm not. I feel like they're trying to develop these characters, but just really didn't come across because I really don't feel like she changed that much by the end of the film. Other things. There is one character that I loved a lot. His name is Pawnee. He's a little tiny alien, like 4 inches tall. He's voiced by Kumail Nanjiani, and he's the best character in the whole fucking film. He's when I actually started to laugh, have little chuckles. I never went live like ha 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 because a lot of stuff is just kind of flat in the movie, just not really working. But he was actually funny. He was cute. He was funny. He worked. He was the best character in the whole film.
He's been an it guy for a minute. Like, I still haven't watched I haven't finished watching his movie that was on Amazon, The Big Sick, I think that is.
Yeah, that's got nominated for all the Oscars. Yeah.
Yeah, based on his life. But I mean, he's been. I believe you haven't watched it, but the HBO show Silicon Valley, he's a part of that. He's fantastic in that. He's appeared, guest starred in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
He's on Adventure Time. He's phenomenal there.
Oh, okay. He's going to be in the upcoming movie Stuber with Dave Bautista. Yeah, he's the best part.
He's phenomenal.
Other things in the film that bothered me. Special effects. The CGI was fine. It's not the best I've seen, but it was fine. A lot of the aliens were pretty convincing. But there was a lack of puppeteering aliens and people with prosthetics. The original MIB movie had a blend of CGI and practical effects. There really isn't that kind of blend in this movie. It's all CG'd and green screen, which is disappointing because it makes interactions with some of the aliens less, because I can tell. It's, I mean, once again, I don't know, it varies. Some of them look good, some of them not as much. Other thing, something I really don't talk about a lot in our reviews, but I want to get more into it. The set design. I didn't really care for the set design. The London headquarters, it just looked like a really fancy train station with some technology. Honestly, the first time I be headquarters, it was weird. It had like that, an alien human kind of mix to it. It was definitely, like, but this one it just looks like a train station that has a few holograms every, here and there. A really nice one, like a luxury train station. It was, but like, or a luxury hotel or something like that. But yeah, the set design, I really wasn't too keen on it. Other places look fine, like streets and whatnot. But that I was really disappointed in. And once again, the main problem with this movie is I think it's lacking in fun. I think it's lacking in like some solid comedy. And the MIB movies are fun. It's police detectives taking care of aliens and who are unusually casual about it. And you get the comedy from that. And they try to have that, but it's just not working. So it just wasn't an entertaining film.
I'm still wondering actually what the opening was like, because like the original Men in Black, 22 years later, still a classic, has had a huge effect on, honestly, the film industry, because there are three things out of that. A, Will Smith has blown up, and that was what, like his second big hit at the time.
Yeah,
I think he had Independence Day.
After Independence Day,
yeah. Like when he and his agent, when they set out to make a plan, they realized that at the time, like most of the 20 biggest grossing films were alien films. So he intentionally picked that. Men in Black is one of the first comic book adaptations to really blow up. Everyone forgets that.
I forget sometimes too, but it is based on a comic book. I'm not sure if the comic is comedic as the movies are. It could be like The Mask, where The Mask was a very funny movie, but the comics are actually very brutal and horrible and psychotic. No, it was like it was technically the first really big civil comic book film.
But that original,
until Blade and X-Men came out in the following years.
But that original, the opening credits to me are what stands out. That dragonfly flying around for 5 minutes until it flies in the windscreen, and then the whole thing with the illegal aliens on multiple levels.
Yeah, the opening scene is. Well, I'm not going to get into spoilers. Oh, one final thing: the villains, boring. All the villains in the MIB movie, even the second one. I know a lot of people don't like the second one. It's just. But all the villains had big personalities. They were in your face with who they were, whether they were like a twitching cockroach monster or like a plant lady who just was like, or the Boris, the animal, or it's just Boris, bland and boring villains, bland as heck. But anyway, so do I give this movie a recommendation? Do I not recommend it? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. This movie is just not fun. There's a harsh lack of fun and entertainment in this film. I feel bad because you got a lot of good actors: Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, Liam Neeson. God damn it, Emma Thompson.
Things you've said about a film, just not fun.
It's just not. It just doesn't hold a candle to the other films, unfortunately. And they're probably hoping this would restart the franchise and get more movies, but honestly, I'm just not digging it. So unfortunately, I got to say, don't bother checking out this film. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Once again, this is our third time now live streaming on Twitch. So if you're listening to us on SoundCloud or from our postings on Facebook, please, and you're a Twitch person, please check us out on Twitch. That's where we're live streaming right now. I want to thank the Rivers Edge Network for hosting us as always. Really appreciate it. Letting us use this awesome studio here. We'll be back next week. So take care, and thank you for viewing things through our perspective. Take it easy.